Stop what you are doing. I need you to hear this right now because the window for what I am about to release over your life closes at midnight tonight. Not metaphorically, literally. What has been circling your life for the last 7 days, unable to land, unable to break through the warfare you have been under, is about to touch down. And when it does, everything you thought was permanent is going to shift in a single moment. I am about to tell you something that is going to sound impossible. The reason your life has felt frozen is not because you did something wrong. It is because you did something so right that the enemy had to pause everything around you just to calculate his next move. That moment this week when you chose silence instead of defending yourself. When you walked away from the argument you could have won. When you stopped trying to force the door open and sat down in the waiting room. That was not weakness. That was the exact move that broke the back of the assignment against you. You did not arrive here by chance. The algorithm did not recommend this to you. I placed this message directly in your path because you are 3 days away from the most significant shift you have experienced in the last 18 months. If you leave before the end of this message, you will miss the instruction that unlocks it. I am going to show you the precise spiritual transaction that happened this week when you thought nothing was happening. I am going to reveal what has been building in the invisible while you were questioning whether I had forgotten your name. And before you close this, we are going to speak a decree together that seals the door on every counterfeit timeline the enemy has been trying to pull you into. Stay right here. Your future is too close to let distractions steal what we are about to do in the next few minutes. I know exactly what this week has done to you. The exhaustion is not just physical. It is the kind of tired that sleep does not fix. You wake up already depleted. You go through the motions, but there is no fuel behind the movement. Maybe it was Tuesday night when you sat in your car in the driveway for 20 minutes before going inside, because you could not face another conversation. Or maybe it was Thursday morning when you opened your eyes and the first thought that came was not gratitude but dread. A quiet voice that whispered, "Is this all there is?" Or maybe you have been fine on the surface, smiling in the meetings, responding to the messages, showing up where you are supposed to show up. But inside there is a room where no one else is allowed, and in that room you have been having a different conversation. One where you are asking questions you cannot say out loud. Questions like, did I miss it? Did I misunderstand what you said to me 3 years ago? Was that actually your voice, or was I just desperate enough to believe it was? The silence has been so loud that it started to feel like an answer, and that answer felt like no. Let me tell you what has actually been happening. The enemy has been running a very specific operation against you this season. He has not been attacking your faith directly. He has been attacking your memory. He has been trying to make you forget who you were before the silence started, before the doors closed, before the people left, before the vision started to feel like a cruel joke. He needs you to forget. Because if you remember who I called you in that moment, if you remember the fire that was in your chest when I first spoke your assignment over you, his entire strategy collapses. Here is what the accuser does not want you to realize. The reason everything has gone quiet is not because I changed my mind. It is because what I am bringing you into next requires a version of you that can handle the weight of it without it crushing you. And that version does not get built in the noise. It gets built in the silence. In the place where there is no applause to validate you, no visible progress to prove you are moving, no external confirmation to tell you that you are on the right path. Just you and me, and the question of whether you trust me enough to stay when every logical reason says to leave. You passed a test this week that you did not even know you were taking. Let me tell you what happened in the realm of the spirit. There was a moment, maybe it was Wednesday, maybe it was earlier, when you were at the absolute edge of your capacity. Everything in you wanted to react, to send the message, to make the call, to force the conversation, to do something, anything. Just to feel like you still had some control, but you did not. You sat in the discomfort. You let the silence stand. You chose restraint when retaliation was available. And in that moment I signed a document in the heavenly courts that the enemy cannot appeal. It is called a transfer of authority. What he has been holding in his hands for the last 6 months, the influence, the opportunities, the relationships, the resources, it just got reassigned, not to someone else, to you. But it does not manifest until you step into the place I have been preparing for you. And that place opens tomorrow morning at 6:17 a.m. I am not speaking in metaphors. Set your alarm. Before we go further, if this is already hitting something deep, there is a resource I had created for people in this exact season. It is called the Identity Reset Guide, and it is going to walk you through everything we are unpacking today in a way you can return to when the doubt tries to creep back in. The link is in the description. You are going to want it for what is coming. Now let me show you what has really been happening while you thought you were standing still. Most people think that waiting is passive, that it is the thing you do when you have no other options, the thing you endure until something better shows up. But that is not what waiting is in my kingdom. Waiting is warfare. It is the active, intentional, moment-by-moment decision to trust me in the gap between the promise and the proof. And every single day that you choose to stay planted when everything around you is screaming that you should uproot and run, you are doing violence to the kingdom of darkness in ways you cannot see from where you are standing. Think about this carefully. The enemy does not waste resources on people who are not a threat. He does not assign high-level interference to lives that do not carry high-level assignments. The fact that you have been under this level of sustained attack is not evidence that you are losing. It is evidence that he knows exactly what you are carrying, and he knows that if you ever fully step into it, his access to an entire region of influence gets cut off. That is why he has been working so hard to convince you that the waiting is punishment, that the closed doors mean I am withholding something from you, that the isolation is a sign that you did something to disqualify yourself. Because if he can get you to believe that lie, if he can get you to internalize the idea that you are in a season of discipline, instead of a season of preparation, you will do his job for him. You will sabotage your own destiny before it ever has a chance to fully manifest. But here is what he did not count on. He did not count on you still being here, still standing, still showing up, still choosing to trust me even when trust feels like the least logical option available to you. And that choice, that daily decision to stay in the process, has been building something in you that cannot be built any other way. Let me show you what I see when I look at you right now. I do not see someone who is stuck. I see someone who is being rooted. I do not see someone who is forgotten. I see someone who is being hidden. Not hidden from me, hidden in me, tucked into a place where the enemy cannot reach you while I do the deep work that this next chapter is going to require. The kind of work that has to happen in the secret place, because if it happened in public, the scrutiny would destroy it before it had a chance to take root. You have been asking me when. When is this going to break open? When is the door going to unlock? When am I going to see the manifestation of what you promised me? And that question is honest. It is human. I am not offended by it. But let me reframe it for you. The question is not when, the question is who. Who are you becoming in the waiting? Because the moment you become the person who can steward what I am about to release, the when takes care of itself. And here is what you need to understand about that. The version of you that can handle what is coming does not get formed in comfort. It gets formed in tension, in the place where your faith is being stretched beyond what feels sustainable, in the moments where you have to choose between what you can see and what I have said. And every time you choose my word over your circumstances, you are laying another brick in the foundation of the life you are about to walk into. There is something I need you to hear about this season. The isolation you have been feeling is not random. I did not forget to send you the people. I intentionally cleared the room because there are some conversations you can only have with me, some revelations that can only come when there is no other voice in the room to drown me out. And what you have been receiving in the silence is going to be the very thing that authenticates every word you speak on the other side of this. You are not going to be able to tell people how to trust me in the dark if you have never done it yourself. You are not going to be able to lead people through the valley if you have never walked it. You are not going to be able to carry the weight of the anointing I am about to place on your life if you have never learned how to carry the weight of the waiting. And that is what this has been. This has been your training ground. This has been the place where I have been teaching you how to stand when there is no visible reason to keep standing, how to worship when there is no evidence that worship is doing anything, how to believe when belief feels like the most irrational thing you could possibly choose. Every moment you have stayed in this season, every morning you have woken up and chosen to trust me again, every night you have gone to bed without the answer you were looking for, and decided to believe that I am still good. You have been making deposits into an account that is about to pay out in ways that are going to leave you speechless. If you are still with me, leave a comment right now and just type the word ready, because what I am about to say next is going to require you to shift how you see this entire chapter. And I need to know you are locked in before we go there. Here is something most people never understand about the way I work. I do not move on your timeline. I move on my timeline. And my timeline is not about what is convenient for you. It is about what is best for you. There have been things you have been asking me for that I could have given you 2 years ago. The relationship, the promotion, the platform, the breakthrough. I had the ability to release them, but I also had the foresight to see what releasing them prematurely would have done to you. It would have destroyed you. Not because the blessing itself was bad, but because you were not yet the person who could handle the blessing without it becoming a curse. You would have gotten the relationship and lost yourself in it. You would have gotten the promotion and let the title define you. You would have gotten the platform and let the applause replace my presence. And within 18 months, you would have been more broken than you were before the blessing ever showed up. So I did not give you what you asked for when you asked for it. I gave you what you needed. And what you needed was time. Time to be pruned. Time to be stretched. Time to be tested in ways that exposed every weak place in your foundation so I could reinforce it before the weight landed. You thought I was withholding. I was protecting. You thought I was ignoring your prayers. I was answering them in the way that would produce the most lasting fruit. And now, after all the waiting, after all the stripping, after all the seasons where you felt like you were going backward instead of forward, you are finally standing on the foundation that can hold the weight of what I am about to release. The question is no longer whether you are ready. The question is whether you are willing to step into it, even though it is going to require you to leave behind every comfort zone you have built for yourself in the waiting. Let me tell you what is about to happen in the next 72 hours. There is a door that has been locked since March. You know exactly which one I am talking about. You have tried to open it 17 different ways. You have knocked. You have pushed. You have even tried to go around it, and every single time it has stayed shut. But here is what you did not know. That door was never locked to keep you out. It was locked to keep you in the process, to keep you in the preparation, to keep you in the place where I could work on you without you running ahead of me. But the season of that door being closed is over. At exactly 6:17 a.m. tomorrow, I am going to unlock it. Not because the circumstances have changed, not because the people involved have had a change of heart, but because you have become someone who can walk through it without it destroying you. And when you walk through it, you are not going to recognize your life on the other side. The relationships that have felt strained are going to shift in a single conversation. The opportunity that has felt just out of reach is going to land in your lap in the most unexpected way. The provision that you have been hustling and straining to make happen is going to show up from a direction you were not even looking. But here is the part that I need you to hear clearly. The breakthrough is not coming because you figured out the formula. It is not coming because you finally got it right. It is coming because you stayed faithful in the place where there was no reward for faithfulness. You kept showing up when showing up felt pointless. You kept believing when belief felt foolish. You kept trusting when trust felt like the riskiest thing you could do. And that, chosen one, is the currency that moves heaven. Let me tell you something about the people who are watching your life right now. The ones who have been silently observing to see if you are going to make it. Some of them have been rooting for you. Some of them have been waiting for you to fail. But all of them are about to witness something that is going to leave them with no category for what they are seeing. Because what I am about to do in your life is not going to make sense to people who measure success by human metrics. They are going to see doors open that they know you did not have the connections to access. They are going to see resources come to you that they know you did not have the strategy to attract. They are going to see a level of favor on your life that they cannot explain away by pointing to your resume or your network or your credentials. And the only explanation they are going to be able to come up with is that your God is real and that He keeps His promises. That is what this season has been building toward. Not just your personal breakthrough, but a public demonstration of my faithfulness that becomes a weapon of hope in the hands of everyone who has been watching you barely survive and wondering if holding on is worth it. You are about to become living proof that I do not waste the waiting, that the silent seasons are not empty seasons, that the place where it feels like nothing is happening is actually where everything is being set up. Now let me address the thing that is still sitting in the back of your mind. The fear that even if all of this is true, even if the door really does open tomorrow, you are not ready for what is on the other side. You are afraid that you are going to get the opportunity and fumble it, that you are going to step into the room and realize you do not belong there, that the anointing is going to land on your life and the weight of it is going to crush you. Let me tell you what that fear actually is. That is not wisdom. That is not discernment. That is the final play. It is the last card the enemy has left to play. Because if he cannot keep the door closed, he is going to try to keep you from walking through it. He is going to whisper that you are not qualified, that you do not have what it takes, that you should wait a little longer, get a little more prepared, polish the rough edges before you step into the spotlight. But here is what he does not want you to know. I do not call the qualified, I qualify the called, and everything you need to walk through that door has already been deposited into you in the waiting, the wisdom, the humility, the character, the spiritual muscle. It is all there. You just have not had the opportunity to see it activated yet. But when the moment comes, and it is coming tomorrow at 6:17 a.m., you are going to reach inside and pull out things you did not even know you were carrying, because that is what the wilderness does. It does not add to you, it reveals what was already in you. And what has been revealed in you over the last 6 months is a level of resilience, a depth of faith, a quality of character that could not have been developed in any other environment. Moses spent 40 years in the desert before he was ready to lead a nation out of slavery. David spent years running from Saul before he was ready to sit on a throne. Joseph spent years in a prison for a crime he did not commit before he was ready to run an empire. And every single one of them thought the waiting was wasted time, until they stepped into the assignment and realized that the waiting was not the detour. It was the preparation. Think about Joseph for a moment. He had the dream when he was 17. He saw himself ruling. He saw his brothers bowing. He saw the vision clear as day. And then what happened? He got thrown into a pit by the very people the dream was about. He got sold into slavery. He got falsely accused of a crime that could have gotten him executed. He spent years in a prison cell watching other people get released while his name stayed on the roster. Do you think there were nights when Joseph wondered if he had made the whole thing up? If the dream was just the fantasy of a naive kid who did not understand how the world actually works? Do you think there were moments when he questioned whether I had actually spoken to him, or if he had just convinced himself that his ambition was my voice? Of course there were. He was human. But here is what Joseph did that most people do not do. He stayed faithful in the place where faithfulness had no audience. He served Potiphar with excellence even though Potiphar was not his destiny. He served the prison warden with integrity even though the prison was not his assignment. He kept showing up with his best even when no one was watching and no one was rewarding him for it. And that is what qualified him for the palace. Not the dream. The dream gave him the vision, but the pit and the prison gave him the character. And when Pharaoh finally called him up out of that dungeon to interpret a dream that would determine the fate of a nation, Joseph did not show up as the arrogant 17-year-old who thought he had all the answers. He showed up as a 30-year-old man who had been humbled by process, refined by suffering, and taught by the silence that his gift was not about him. It was about the people his gift was meant to serve. That is where you are right now. You are standing at the edge of the very thing you have been waiting for. And the only thing standing between you and it is the decision to believe that you are ready. Not because you feel ready, but because I say you are ready. And my assessment of you carries more weight than your feelings about yourself. So here is what we are going to do right now. I want you to place your hand over your heart. If you are in public, do it anyway. If someone is watching, let them watch. This moment is too important to let self-consciousness steal it from you. Place your hand over your heart and say this with me. I release every doubt that has convinced me I am not ready. I break agreement with the lie that this season was wasted. I cancel the narrative that says the silence meant abandonment. I declare that my waiting has not been in vain. It has been working. Every closed door was protecting me from something I was not meant to carry. Every delayed answer was positioning me for something better than what I was asking for. I am not behind schedule. I am right on time. I am not unqualified. I am being qualified. I am not forgotten. I am being formed. And what is about to break open in my life is not luck. It is not coincidence. It is the result of faithfulness that no one saw, obedience that had no audience, trust that had no evidence. I step into tomorrow with the full expectation that what you have promised is already in motion. I am ready, I am released. I am walking through the door at 6:17 a.m., and I am not looking back. If this just shifted something in you, do not let this moment pass without marking it. Screenshot this. Share it with someone who is still in their waiting season. Leave a comment and tell me what broke off of you while you were reading this, because your testimony is going to be the lifeline someone else needs to hold on for one more day. And if you have not already, make sure you subscribe, because what is coming to this channel is directly connected to what I am doing in your life right now. You did not find this randomly. This was an appointment, and there are more coming. Do not miss them. Your breakthrough is not far off. It is already here. You are just about to see it with your own eyes.